people who have bought into this, we were talking about the Earth School, think that romance is what love really is.
Romance is not love. Love is far deeper, more powerful, and it doesn't wear off.
And romance is going to wear off.
Romance is going to wear off.
Guaranteed.
Because romance is the projection of beautiful qualities within yourself onto another person. Is looking for another person, in other words, to bring into your life what you need and have for yourself, but want from another person. So you see that other person as beautiful or charming, intelligent, gregarious, caring, sexual, sensual, and yet you yourself are all of these things, but instead of cultivating a caring, gregarious, lovingly sexual person yourself, you look for that in someone else.
I feel like society is just driven off of romance, but why, to me, it feels like it's not realistic.
It's not realistic at all?
I understand it fades, but we tend to think like we need to meet one person that we're going to spend forever with, and I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel like that it's not realistic. I feel like that in today's society, like romance has been manufactured because of capitalism. So let's say, for example, before when we were hunter-gatherers, like people got together because they needed to survive, right? And they also needed to procreate to have more people to help the community survive, right? And maybe what we call now the emotion of love, that was bred during those periods, right? So over time, I feel like what we have learned to do, or people have learned to do in industry and in government, is to capitalize off of people's emotions and feelings. So something that just like started off naturally is now a business. So like Valentine's Day, Christmas, birthdays, and it puts so much pressure on people to behave a certain way or do a certain thing that now like the idea of love or romance or being in a partnership is drastically different from what it naturally was.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying because I really feel like Disney or the media or the music really got us in a chokehold because we are emotional beings and we want a feeling of love.
Which is not wrong. I feel like everybody should have that feeling of love, but I do feel like it should not come from like a manufactured like place. Like it should come from like a natural place where like you're really interested in a person, like you really want to be with them. You're not necessarily expecting something from them. Although yes, you want your partner that you're with to like maybe provide certain things, but at the same time you're not necessarily expecting that out of them because of how you've been conditioned to think about the world. In like a very finite like way, in terms of like you do this, I do this, or you're supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do that sort of thing.
That is transaction. And if we can be upfront about it, knowing, okay, we got a transactional relationship, then that's cool. But let's not label it as unconditional because you want something in return.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Can you more so really break down how capitalism plays a huge part of romance?
I mean, let's say, for example, like, you know, Valentine's Day is created out of basically capitalism. Like, so, you know, you want to get gifts for a person that you're with. Like, okay, it's going to cost money. It's going to benefit the corporation. Like, people are running, like, ads. I mean, I do this myself in my business. Like, I don't feel necessarily bad, but of course, yeah, I participate. Yeah, I'm running ads. I want you to buy stuff on Valentine's Day. I want you to see certain messages on Valentine's Day. Other people do as well, but I'm only like a small player. So, yeah, I just feel like it is manufactured, and it's sort of like preying on people's emotions. I feel like holidays in general, I don't want to get too deep, but like I just feel like holidays in general are like preying on the public. Because it's not like something that you really have to adhere to. Like, you don't gotta adhere to Christmas. You ain't gotta adhere to Valentine's Day. You don't have to adhere to, what's another one they got going?
What's another one? Halloween.
Right, Halloween. All of these ideas, right, that we have solidified in our minds, they were created by people just like us. So they're just ideas that came to fruition, right? And they just got a gang of people to believe in it. And over the time, they solidified it in the public conscious.
With that, the impact, the influence like the media has on our conscious mind, what are some subtle signs that they try to play with our emotion?
What do you mean, like subtle signs? Oh, subtle signs?
Like in the media and
I don't necessarily think it's like subtle. Like, I don't think it's like subtle now if you are paying attention. But if you're not paying attention, you won't see it. Like, of course, everything is hypersexualized because they know that like our innate like driving force is basically procreation or sex, because biologically we're animals, so we have to continue the species. That's just like innate in us, right? And so that's why you see like hypersexualization in advertising, hypersexualization in media, hypersexualization in basically everything. So yeah, I think that's a way that you could notice, like, oh well, maybe these people want to sell me something, like if there's sex here or
sex sells.
Yeah. It does,
really
yo. That's
sells.
crazy. Yeah, it does. But it's also, I think that we shouldn't forget that like sex is like a natural part of like being a human. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things that are natural parts of being a human have been monetized and also like demonized. But yeah, like, I mean, sex is natural, but at the same time, yeah, it does sell. It sells a lot. Like,
of course, like, I love that it is natural. We should be okay and comfortable with talking about sex. I don't think it should be something like the elephant in the room, like everybody makes it out to be when we all came here out of sex. Like, why are so many people not comfortable with their sexuality?
I don't know. You gotta ask them. I don't know. I don't know.
Like, you know, most people try to make it seem like it's a bad thing, though, while they are having sex. Like, they want to keep it on the hush or keep it on the low. But then if we all came here from sex, why can't we talk about it?
Oh, you know, I think because culturally, like, I feel like, especially in Western societies, like, you know, like, sex is not seen as, like, something that's, like, super positive. Like, it's not, I feel like it just came out today to where, like, everybody's, like, sex positive. But, like, over the last decade or so, or even since I've been on the planet, like you come out and saying that you're like a hypersexual person has never been good. Yeah. Or in terms of like the public discourse. It's not until now, but I think that, you know, people don't want to talk about like the sexual partners they're having or the things that they're doing because of that, like that past sort of view of sex.
Wow. And I think most people get into romance just to have sex.
I think there are a lot of short-sighted people who do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that they may just be allowing their primal nature to control like what it is that they do. So they may not even know much about the person that they're with. They may not know how they think. They may not know like they may not even know how to properly like feel the person's energy, like, but they still get into the relationship because of the sex. But I mean, that's not me, so I don't know. I can't talk on what they.
Yeah, because I'm more so like view platonic relationships as a great priority in life, and it's like the only thing that's different from that is we just don't have sex with each other. Because I feel like romance, that's just someone you spend majority of your time with, because we are just accustomed to thinking like we gotta be codependent, so we gotta spend all of our time together, and then that's somebody you sleep with.
But question, why can't a romantic relationship not have sex?
Exactly. Why is it automatically thinking that has to be the transaction when it comes to romance, to label it that?
Yeah, I feel like it's just about like changing like people's minds and the way they think about things.
How do we do that? How should the paradigm exist of having like a conscious relationship? How does that look?
Like changing it?
Like, how does a conscious relationship look? Because I think that will like shift the paradigm, because most people are accustomed to like a transaction relationship or just a surface level. It's like off of physical attraction, or what can you do for me and I can do for you. It's just, we're just thinking very surface when it comes to like relationships.
Yeah, I think like everybody would like have to like personally re-examine themselves first, and like re-examine the ideas that they've adopted over time that have created the person that they think they are. So like once you strip yourself of all of these things, then you can go to another person and say, hey, well, this is how I view a romantic relationship, or this is how I view a platonic relationship, and then you can like openly have communication or discourse about the way that you feel about these things. But if you never like look into yourself and strip down who you think you are before you get into a relationship with another person, it's just, I don't think it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a guru. This is just like my personal.
Yeah, we all saying opinions over here.
Okay, yeah, this is my opinion. Like, I ain't like.
You're just a single individual roaming these streets. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that like people can be single. I don't know. I feel like romance is also the spice of life, but I also don't necessarily feel like romance has to come from like a person. Like for me, like I like romance is like me going to the museum and it makes me feel very good about myself, or me meeting new people in my business, or like me doing art or something like I feel like that's romantic. It may not be romantic in the traditional sense of the way people think about it, like with another person. But yeah, I feel like you can make your own definition of romance.
I love that you said just romanticize your own life though. Like
yeah.
Museums,
that's what I be doing.
Treat yourself. Every time can be romanticized, but I think we put so much attention on another person to fulfill that for us, but we can do that for ourselves.
Yeah, you definitely can. It's lit too. Like
it's so lit. It's so lit.
Heck, there's so many places you can go by yourself, have a good time. Like yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. You know, I gotta ask one more question, because you saying like it's lit over there, like having a relationship with yourself. How is it lit? Like, how is the healing process goes, like to obtain this type of joy within?
How does it go?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's just how I am as a person. Like I feel like that's just naturally how I am. I don't really have like any like super like Socratic like words of wisdom. Like,
you gotta drop some wisdom before
like that's just really how but I've also like read a lot. I've like studied myself a lot. I used to actually sit with someone a lot who taught about like self-help, metaphysics, that sort of thing. So I think it's all about like the self-work, and then you can come into like, you know, being complete without another person.